You're not gonna believe this. It's fucking horrible news. But I'm just gonna make the video how I normally walk around looking, because when I make videos, which I don't often, it's because I have to wear some type of like tape on my nose or breathing device, Q-tips in my nose. Yeah, like I said, and I've been talking about, I've dealt with ENS for the past 4 or 5 years. It's an orphan disease. It's super rare. It's one of the only diseases that you can get because of medical malpractice. After fighting with the courts and SSDI for the past, probably since 2019 or 2020, I had amazing, proof and medical records and really stated my case, but ultimately it seemed like they just couldn't grasp a complex disease well enough, even though my doctor's lawyers and everybody else does. And they also said I seem articulate and smart. That doesn't take away from the fact that I have an illness. I was too afraid to read the letter. This has been an ongoing battle. My lawyer came over to my house, which was really nice, and he put it to me lightly that it was unfavorable. One of my lawyers from the Dugan office, God bless him, he came over. He was really kind. He told me, I think you're so talented. Let me know when you have another show. And I said, I don't know when I have another show. I really don't. I just don't feel the same. I've felt stuck for a while, and I'm kind of out of options. Fortunately, if I do a show once a month, it's cool. I can wear my mask. I can wear breathing devices and stuff. But on a day-to-day basis, the suffering that I endure, although not as bad as it was, still it affects my life in every fucking way. The judge didn't like me. I don't think he did. And he also didn't understand that he said, you're so smart. I don't get it. You're young and you're smart. You can still be young and smart and have an illness or an injury or a disability. But my lawyer said, don't worry, you're in good hands. We're going to fight this. We're going to appeal it. I was like, should we just restart over the process? Should we appeal the current one we have? We're going to kind of figure out what to do. I don't even know if I should be talking about this, but at this point, it's not even just about me. It's about anybody that's been wronged by the system, that's been injured, that's genuinely sick, that's been fucked up and wants to get their life back on track.
And it knocked me down, but I got back up. And that's what this whole campaign is also about. Is to anyone in this crowd or anywhere across Pennsylvania, if you ever got knocked down, to get back up.
I pray that this can finally come to an end. It's been 5 years of my life. So, yeah. I may have to go all the way to Virginia, which is where the higher up court is, which is a swamp. And also, as you know, where this initial situation happened to me, a doctor in Virginia who was very rude, very narcissistic, completely just ignored my calling out for help with the complication that I had. So I may have to go back to Virginia where it all started to fight. And so yeah, my lawyers read up on it. Obviously my doctor, who's the top specialist in dealing with ENS, he's on my side. My lawyers are on my side. He wrote me an amazing paper explaining it, but the judge still didn't seem to get it. Again, I know because it's a very, very rare disease that's kind of not fully been studied up until I would say the last 10 to 20 years. They actually think that that's what Michael Jackson inevitably died from, is because he just couldn't breathe. He had all those nose surgeries, and that's why he needed propofol to fall asleep, and couldn't sleep and couldn't function, and his body was deteriorating. It takes a lot of work to just get through the day and to keep things up to speed. And I'm going to keep fighting. I've come this far, and I'm not going to let somebody tell me what the fuck is up, because bitch, I know. Before this, I struggled certainly with things with being depressed and anxious, and having mental health issues that impeded on certain parts of my life. But for the most part, I was able to get by and stuff like that, and do quite a lot despite that. But this is something totally different, and it definitely doesn't make that part easier. And yeah, the court is so black and white with cases, and People that are sick and injured or have certain disabilities, it's not so black and white. It is complicated. Yeah, like, it's not even safe for me to drive. I did DoorDash for a little bit and ended up getting 3 flat tires and almost wrecking. So I said, you know what, I'm not, because I remember when it was really bad when I had ENS, I was wrecking my car all the time, getting pulled over all the time, passing out behind the wheel. It was fucking terrifying. I would be on tour, like doing shows out of town, and feel like I had to pull over because I didn't know what was going on. Now that I do, it's a little bit easier, but for the most part, I have people ride me. Like, I have my mom ride me to doctor's appointments, or I really have to, like, just be careful and plan things out. But yeah, I can't sit there in, like, a normal setting. Like, even with my friends, I feel weird doing that. Just, like, imagine me, like, being a secretary and having just, like, this whole, like, breathing apparatus on my nose. I feel weird even, like, being in a relationship. So even though people understand, it's just you can't function like that. So yeah, there's a stigma that I'd like to end, and it's that disabled people, people with illnesses and stuff, they can still have a personality. They can still be smart, even talented, even funny, possibly well-read. That doesn't take away from the fact that they have a serious illness. What fucking century is this, right? Yeah, it just kind of, like, pisses me off that somebody said, like, it's a compliment, don't get me wrong. Oh, you're so smart, you're so talented. That doesn't mean that I don't have a disability or an injury or an illness or a sickness that perturbs me from a regular life, from regular gainful work. Things are a little bit more complicated. Like, they're not always black and white. Now, I know many people in wheelchairs that are extremely smart, funny, talented, like, really good at doing certain things. But, you know, their options are limited. And a lot of the time with people that deal with extreme shit like this on a day-to-day, their options are limited. And their energy is cut in half too. People get on disability for, you know, depression and stuff like that. But I think just with this, I don't know, it's wild. I don't think I've met anybody that's had to fight this hard to get on disability. I know a lot of people that have scammed the system, certainly, though, that don't have a disability. So yeah, please pray for me. Now would be a good time to support my Patreon, and whatever else you can, stream my music. But like I said, I will be fighting. I will still be fighting for myself and for anybody else who's been knocked the fuck down, okay? We out here. So yeah, let's end the stigma. Let's fight for this. Judges aren't supposed to be biased like that, right? You wouldn't think that they're biased. Our system is biased, and that is scary. That should scare you. And I'm sure Judge would be like, well, you know, you seem articulate, like, reading the paperwork. They said she seems very reasonable. She seems to understand things well, and pay attention. But she can't do certain things, X, Y. It's pretty much like I can't have a normal job, but I understand things and I seem okay. So that's pretty much the basis of why I was denied. And it's really just because they just don't understand ENS. And I don't think really anybody does, but when I describe it to people, they're like, oh shit, that sucks. Essentially what it feels like is you have to manually breathe all day. You're suffocating. Like, when it was really, really bad, it's just you take in a breath and it feels like nothing. You didn't take a breath. So you're just suffocating. So yeah, their logic essentially, the court at least, judge, it's almost like being smart. When being smart, it's like a bad thing. He's like, well, you're somewhat educated, you know, you're very smart. You ran your own business. You're young. That doesn't dismiss the shit that I went through and I'm going through. Business has not been doing as well since I've gotten ENS. I have not been able to work regular hours or a gainful job. I was smart before I got the disease. Like, that doesn't affect my like level of intelligence or the things I've learned throughout life. I would say if anything, the ENS has made me smarter, and it's woken me up to how fucked up the system is. You know, it does change my personality a little bit, my mood, my ability to do certain things, but overall, yeah, I'm young and I have a fucking personality. There were days on end where I actually couldn't talk. I would avoid talking to people. I still sometimes do, just because I am in that much pain, and it's gotten in the way of me being my best. I've spoke to many people with ENS that they can have a conversation. That doesn't mean that they don't struggle in their day-to-day life and have things be all fucked up and affected sometimes. They can understand and respond. That's not what ENS is about. Granted, it does mess up your focus a lot of the time. I'm not going to lie. People with ENS do talk. They do try to have some normal life. But I will say, for the past 5 years, most of it has been spent going to the doctors. Yeah, this is just kind of wild to me. It's like, oh, you know, here's this person with one leg. Well, you're young and you're smart. Like, I don't understand. You're smart. You'll figure it out. And it's like, this isn't America. Let's do better instead of treating disabled people like a disease. So yeah, my lawyers get it. My doctor certainly gets it. And other people that do have ENS get it. But Judge Coe and whatever the fuck people in Virginia are having a hard time grasping just the amount of destruction that ENS has done to people. They almost think it's like their fault that this happened, and it's not. So yeah, I pretty much have to manually breathe or manipulate my breathing to some degree. So to work a regular job for me, it's like even when I leave the house to go grocery shopping, I gotta like put a mask on and just be quick and like kind of hide. That's why the whole the mask thing, like that came about, because I said, how am I going to do this? Do the one thing that I actually love, like the one hobby that keeps me alive. Like, I got to be figured out, and there's no help out there for people with ENS. Yeah, fortunately, I've had some passive income. Haven't been able to do it as much since getting sick, and it makes me feel like shit. I can do things here and there, like I can go to the studio for a couple hours. People there know about the whole breathing thing and the Q-tip thing, and, you know, they know, they don't judge. But in a normal day-to-day, 9 to 5, really like any setting, it's just not going to fly when I have tape on my nose and like, you know, all this weird stuff on my nose just to like kind of get through the day, not end up in pain and have a sore throat. And like oftentimes I'll end up in pain anyways after a couple hours, and I'll have no choice but to just try to go to sleep, because that's the only thing that helps. And when I say pain, I mean severe migraines, my ears hurt, my jaw hurts, you know, everything pretty much. So yeah, I don't really know what to do. This is horrible news, especially before the new year. I fear even fighting, because I truly fear that they hate me and they don't want to help at all after all the destruction that they've done. So I don't know what to do.